I'm Patrick Bailey with IQlist.com. Today is June 7th, 2020. In this video I'll be showing a garden stake I designed. Okay, this is one of those almost a practical print. I'd like to say it's a practical print if I could, but it's close. I'm trying to use some kind of 3D print where I can solve an everyday problem I have. So here's the funny story that makes it somewhat practical and somewhat impractical. It is kind of the price of it all. So we bought a house here last year. When we bought this house, they had it built, and the backyard is just dirt. So I have to do all this landscaping this summer. And so as part of that, I'm digging trenches, and it's going to take a while for us to do it because we're all doing it ourselves. And so I thought, okay, these trenches, if we have rain, it's going to fill up. So I had the idea, let me go put plastic down there and stake it down, because I know it's going to take me about a month or two to get all the piping and everything in there. In the meantime, it might rain, so I want to get something down there. So I was going to get a bunch of plastic, which I got. I started putting stuff down there, and I was going to get some spikes. Some of these, well, here's what I'm trying to get. These weed barrier staples. You've probably seen some. I got some that I pulled up from my yard from before that some of the landscapers did earlier in the front yard. And so the idea is just a big staple. You stick it down there, and it holds down the plastic or the fabric, and it works just fine. And I was going to go pick it up, but the store, the Home Depot near me, was out. And so I thought, well, here's an opportunity. Maybe I can print something out, a replacement. Now, trying to print something like this thin metal, it's very ductile, very strong, that's just not going to happen. So I was looking around thinking, okay, what can I do? And also, what's the practicality of it? Because I have a feeling, which proved to be right, that these metal pieces are so cheap that you really can't print something financially practical to replace them. But there might be some other benefits to it, and also there might be the benefit if you only have to print a couple of out, why go to the store? So anyway, so what I did is I looked around and I found on Prusa this print 30274, a tent stake. I found a tent stake. I said, cool, there's my model. So I print a couple of these out, and they look really good and they work really effectively for tent stakes. So I thought, okay, maybe I can do that, put a bigger head on it, like I have, and then pound it in the ground and hold it. Now, so I came up with several designs. I went through several iterations. But with that, let me go over the numbers real quickly. Oh, sorry, before I do that here. I put it out here on Prusa printers. It's a 33010 out there, and I'll put a link in the show notes. But let me go over the numbers. You can see the practicality of it. So it takes 2 hours and 27 minutes to print one of them. It takes 1.8 cents of electricity. And it weighs 0.018 kilograms, and at $20 per kilogram comes out to about 36 cents to print just the material alone. So total cost about 38 cents. We can kind of round that up and call it 40 cents. So 40 cents to print one of these, which is not too bad, and I've been using it in the backyard. It seems to be pretty effective for my needs. But the funny thing is, if you look at Home Depot and the price of theirs, their smaller bundles of 25 and 75 come out to about 14 to 15 cents per staple, and their giant pack comes out to about 8 cents per staple. So even if we round that up with tax and call it 20 cents, this is at least twice the cost. But there are some interesting advantages to it because of the nature of it, it has to be a lot bigger, and so it's easier to. One advantage is I can actually see them because oftentimes when I pull these things out, a lot of these staples, like I found, get left behind in my yard, and they're kind of annoying. So there is that advantage. Or there's the advantage if you only need a few of these, you could print them out. So it's interesting to think about. But with that, let me go. But right, it's working great for me. I think they're pretty good. But let me go through some of the example iterations I went through. What I had first thought was, here on the far left, I thought, hey, let me print them separately. Let me print this, and then print a top. That way I can iterate. I thought the spike part was going to be good based on the tent spike. And I thought, okay, let me do that. And then I can put a thread in there. And then I can iterate on the top. And I can change this, make it thicker, make it different, do all kinds of different ideas. And I think that would work pretty good. Problem being, that turns out to be a weak point. So even though I've changed several, these are some of the original designs I tried with that. I tried a couple of things. No matter what I did, they just snapped off. Whenever you hit a hammer on it, they just broke. So it's very much a weak point. So that's no bueno, not a good idea. But another idea that I did a little bit that I think it still has value is to print it in 3 pieces. So you print this, then you just print just the thread. And the thread goes in there, and you have to make it course, bigger. And then you can have this modular top piece. That means you could change the piece. And I did one of those, and I pounded on it, and it held up pretty well. So I think that might be another idea that's viable. But in the end, I just did this, did it thicker, put some reliefs in there, and it's working just fine for my purposes. So I'm calling it good and going with it. But also, some notes on this design. This design that I finally finished, this could totally be done in OpenSCAD. I think I could redo this. The lines are pretty simple. Everything is pretty simple. And I could do it in OpenSCAD and make it modular, so I could make it really easy with equations to make a big one, a small one, a fat one, and do different things. And that may have some more value. Anyway, so there's all that. But also, if you choose to try these, they're strong enough, but you can break them. Like I went out this morning, I put some in, and I pounded this one a little bit too hard, and I did break it. So these are not metal. They're not as tough as the metal ones, but so you can break it. And also, it may be a better idea to print these in PETG versus PLA. Like right now, I printed a bunch in PLA, and I'm actually switching to PETG just because PETG is going to hold up better in the outdoors and do better. But even for me, they're only going to be out there, in my case, they're only going to be out there for a few months. So I want to be careful about that. So if you want to... interesting idea. I don't know. I'm kind of stoked about this, but practical and impractical. This is at least twice the cost of what you can find out there, and also for just staples. But also, it's not going to last for years and years compared to the metal staples. But there's the advantage: I can see it real quickly as I do things. So I had fun with this print. It's a good one. I like it. But also, even though you can solve a lot of problems with 3D printing, sometimes the financials, you can't practically solve everything. So some things out there, you just can't do a better job. But you can do a different job. And this is different enough. I think it has value. So anyway, I wanted to show this. I got this working. I'm happy about it. Now on to different kinds of 3D prints, now that I got this out of my system. Okay, next video I'm planning on doing is a redo of my 0.25mm nozzle where I was printing miniatures. A lot of folks suggested really good ways to improve the print quality using Prusa's better 0.25 nozzle settings versus the simplistic one I used last time. At any rate, look out for that video coming up soon.